back, everyone. There you go. Saw me pulling apart this thing. We'll go through it in a sec. Just getting it ready to be able to shove it in the car, and hopefully once it's in there for let's go with 2 years, but two years. But that's we'll see. Depends on what happens. Because first year we'll run it in production, next year we'll run, year after that, we'll run it in altered, and then we're done with the naturally aspirated stuff and go from there. Let's have a look at what we found. As you saw pulling it out, there's my light. There's oil in the spark plug tubes, but that's really nothing we care about. Banged out the core plugs, pulled out the water pump to find that loveliness, so we'll have to wash that out. But on the bright side, the inside of the motor here is nice and clean. No build-up of any junk, everything looks nice. All the cam lobes are pretty nice, except let's see if you can see it. There you go. The end of that cam lobe is starting to delaminate, which is a pretty well-known problem with these motors, so I think we'll just pretend we didn't see it and keep going, because we didn't see it, right? Everyone remember that? So, got all the manifold off so we can bang these core plugs out down here, because Ford in their wisdom used mild steel core plugs, which aren't too bad, but you can see, that one started to get eaten away. So rather than have ourselves an issue, we'll just put brass ones in it now and never have to worry about it again. And standard oil pressure sensor leaking, whole motor's covered in junk. There we go. Covered in oil, but that's just because the rocket cover gasket wasn't great. But you'll be wondering why I took the manifold off and the wiring harness and everything off, because the harness that this motor is, the harness on this motor for the car it came out of is different to what's in the Ute. The Ute, being a base model, doesn't have ABS, which doesn't have the wheel speed sensors, so it uses the gearbox. So the whole wiring harness is different. So we'll change that over when we pull that motor out. But Marketplace Find of the Year, that's a zoom in, FG Falcon, so a later model intake manifold, which is plastic. And as you might be able to notice there, we'll take it over here, let's have a look. Which, there you go, as you can see, factory manifold. Throttle body faces the rocker cover. Later model manifold, throttle body faces the outside of the car. So, let's put this down. It's plastic, but it's still heavy. Having the throttle body come out here, which that's in the way, but it actually will snake down here. Instead of having an intake pipe that goes up and around the world in 80 days and then down to where we're going, we'll just be able to go whoop, which naturally aspirated wire is not going to do much, but from all reports that manifold's good for another 10, 15 horsepower. Some people claim 20, which, we'll see. But yeah, so we'll put that on there while we're at this point now, because it'll adapt the harness for the throttle body and it'll bolt straight in, because Ford in their wisdom changed the throttle body bolt pattern. But we'll deal with that. And the other thing is, while we're here, fresh water pump, because, $40 water pump versus having problems, which you might notice there, AN fitting. Because this hose here used to run, have some light, there you go, used to run out of the back of the water pump here, all the way along the motor to the heater core, back out of the heater core, all the way along the motor, all the way along this other side here, and then up into this fitting here. So, in the aid of least number of issues possible in the world, get an AN fitting from here as well, which is actually the same as that one. I only ordered one like an idiot. Come out here, down around, and then into the back of the water pump. So instead of having stuff to deal with at the back of the motor and ever have a drama with it, you know, let's just get rid of as many issues as we can now, including that oil leak, before we have to deal with it. Because you can't just blank it off, because unfortunately this motor has no coolant bypass from one side to the other, so the water comes in that side of the motor, through the block, through the head, and back out this side. Unlike most other cars, there's no internal bypass through the engine, so it has to bypass externally. So we run around here, go in there, it's fine. Later on we can tee into that for spoolie boys, you know, got to keep the spoolie boy cool, which this motor might not see a turbo, but that other one will. And, you know, future-proofing, planning for problems, you know. Upside, timing chain's nice and tight, so this motor's nice except for that one little camshaft that we'll pretend doesn't exist. So how about we seal this one back up again, and we'll flush that out and change the sensors and make it look pretty. But first, there we go. Oh yeah, SEMA ready, or whatever the saying is. So it has a different fuel rail, which thankfully came with it. So $100, you know, throttle body, manifold, fuel rail. Really can't complain with that. Still got the variable manifold flappy crap in there, which we'll keep because it keeps the ECU happy. So yeah, rocker cover on. There's an adapter for that. The map sensor goes from being under here to up here, so I've got to change the sensor and hopefully not extend the wiring, but we'll cross that bridge. So the manifold bolts are longer because the flange on that's thick, and I think we'll make some brackets because you can't completely see it in the video, but being plastic it is flexible. Factory, it's got bracket that goes from here to here, so we might make one of them just for not snapping the thing off with the vibrations, because race cars vibrate a lot. The other thing is it's got some pickups here, which previously we'll work out how to make a bracket to make that all happy, because I don't know, I'd just rather this thing didn't snap off, but I'd also like to still be able to get to, you know, things like the oil filter in the car. So yeah, I want to make my life easy, because trying to have to work on this while it's in the middle of but nowhere with, you know, only the tools that I remembered to pack. But yeah, let's keep this going. Side note, the windscreen's out. Car looks funny with no windscreen. Oh, let's get this rocker cover back on. Well, there we go, rocker cover's back on. Got a second fitting for there. That'll probably do for this part. This will probably be a two-part, getting this thing ready to go in the car, so it'll just go back in the corner until it's ready to go in the car, and put the final few pieces on it and shove it in the hole. And thanks for watching. Remember, like, subscribe, all that fun crap. You know, keep the algorithm happy. We'll see what that does. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.